Hi, this is Scott Dudley, and welcome to Funnel Fella Radio. And today we're going to be looking at podcast episode number 12 with reducing distraction on the page for higher conversions. So, when creating any type of conversion page, there's always the temptation to add as many things as possible to try to get the attention of the prospect. However, there's an old saying of less is more, and that perfectly describes how to design the layout on your pages. So the trouble is most marketers tend to go overboard with adding elements to the page the average user finds distracting instead of being useful or interesting. And there's also the fact that more often than not, a confused mind tends to say no as well. So with that in mind, I've found an interesting case study that looks at how distractions can reduce conversions. So this case study is on the Optimizely blog. The name of the blog post is "These A/B tests increased revenue per visitor for VeggieTales by 38%. So the company VeggieTales is an animated children's TV series, which is really popular with preschoolers in the United States. And since 1993, they've sold over 70 million videos, 15 million books, 7 million CDs. So obviously they're extremely popular with young children. So the idea was to systematically optimize the design of the entire e-commerce site. So this isn't so much to do with funnels, this is more to do with e-commerce, but it's still pretty interesting as far as distractions on the page. So the initial research, they wanted to start with some subtle design changes where they wanted to examine their analytics, and they were able to determine to start testing and, need to start that again. Hi, this is Scott Dudley, and welcome again to Funnel Fella Radio. We're up to podcast episode number 12 today, and we're going to be taking a look at reducing distraction on the page for higher conversions. So when creating any type of conversion page, there's always the temptation to want to add as many things as possible to get the attention of the prospect. However, there's an old saying of less is more that perfectly describes how to design the layout of your pages. And the trouble here is that most marketers, they tend to go overboard with adding all sorts of elements to the page that the average user actually finds distracting instead of the initial intent, which is to make it useful or interesting. Plus, there's also the fact that more often than not, a confused mind will tend to say no. So you need to keep that in mind as well. The less confusion, the better. So here's an interesting case study that looks at how distractions can reduce conversions. So we're going to jump over here to the Optimizely blog, and there's a blog post called "These A/B tests increased revenue per visitor for VeggieTales by 38%. So just quickly, VeggieTales is an animated children's TV series which is hugely popular with preschoolers in the United States. So they basically wanted to systematically optimize the design of their entire e-commerce site. So once again, this isn't so much funnels, this is more e-commerce. But still, it's an interesting look at how you can reduce distractions on the page. So let's now take a look at the tests that they performed. The first test that they did was on their category page. So the original category page had featured very large, bright, distracting banners. Customers landing on the page didn't have general guidance on where to go, and they were getting distracted from finding products they wanted and continuing to the product page. So there's a classic example of friction. And the hypothesis here was that removing the banners would result in a higher RPV, which is revenue per visitor. So the banner, if you're watching the video, the banner is this large banner right up the top here. Come on, guys, sing the song. So they completely removed that banner from the page and instead just had the 6 products show up here above the fold. And the end result was that without this banner, they were able, the category pages produced a 17.4% increase in revenue per visitor. So basically that big banner up the top there was serving no purpose and it was distracting customers. Not only that, if you look at the difference between the two pages, this page has 3 products above the fold, the original page, whereas the revamped page without the banner has 6 pages above the fold. So you're doubling the amount of products you're actually showing above the fold. Okay, and then the next test was on the product page. So using custom heat mapping tools, they confirmed that the current product pages had very poor spacing. Also distracting attributes, and it lacked organization. And while they're saying it wasn't awful, it could have been better. So the hypothesis here was that improving the spacing and increasing the prominence of the primary call to action will result in a higher revenue per visitor. So a little bit difficult to explain on the podcast, but if you're watching the video, it's pretty clear here that they've removed a whole heap of text and tabs and distracting stuff. And basically on the variation, they've just got a streamlined image of the product, the title of the product, the price of the product, and then a paragraph of text that describes what the product is. So the end result here was that the product page variation produced a 13.9% increase in revenue per visitor. So the category page change produced 17.4% increase, and then this product page produced 13.9%, so almost the same. And then we go to the checkout page. So they're saying here, this is where e-commerce conversions happen. So obviously this is where they actually start to make the payment. And they're saying here that the checkout page included all of the same header and footer elements that were found on every other page of the site. They're good elements, but they serve as unnecessary distractions to a visitor trying to convert to a customer and can be eliminated using a website optimization tool like Optimizely. So this is an excellent point, and it's the same sort of thing with funnels where you've got order pages and the order page ends up with some sort of navigation menu at the top of it, but what's the point of having a navigation menu on an order page? You want them to order the product, and by giving them like 8 links at the top of the page, you're giving them 8 opportunities, or however many it is, to leave the page, to forget about what you're trying to sell them and to go look at something else. For any page that's a money page, such as an order page, or in this particular scenario, a checkout page, it's absolutely crucial that you remove all distractions and links so that you keep them on the page and then you get them to buy. And if you're going to include this top menu bar here, in this particular case, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 links at the top where the customer can click on any of those links and disappear from the checkout page. So the hypothesis here was that simplifying the checkout by removing all of the distractions in the header and footer, except those designed to act as confidence builders, will result in a higher revenue per visitor. So actually, I didn't mention the footer before. You can't actually see the footer on here, but anyway, the results here was that the more streamlined checkout page variation produced a 14.3% increase in revenue per visitor. So again, it's all of these changes so far have increasing conversions by between 13 and 17%. And then we get onto the homepage. So the original homepage had a strong call out for free shipping, which is never a bad idea for converting visitors, but it overshadowed the site's social icons. We didn't just want to move the social icons to the header. We wanted visitors to be aware of the immense size of the VeggieTales community, which serves as a confidence builder. So personally, I'm not a big fan of having social media icons where people click on the icons to visit your Facebook page or Twitter page or whatever. I prefer to keep them on my own site rather than send them to someone else's checkout or website or whatever. I mean, you're not going to make any sales on Facebook or Twitter. True, you might build up a following, but it's better to keep them on the website, in my opinion. But in any case, what they did was they removed this. There's a banner here straight above the Facebook and Twitter buttons. They got rid of that banner, the banner on the right-hand side, and they added a new Facebook and Twitter, I don't know what you call it, sections with larger, more prominent icons, and it shows exactly how many Twitter followers and Facebook fans that they've got, and that they can click on those options there to go onto either the Twitter page or the Facebook page. So the end results here is not only has VeggieTales gained more fans and followers, but the variation homepage produced an astounding 36.8% increase in revenue per visitor, which is interesting because obviously if they click on those buttons, then they're going off the website onto social media. But in this particular case, it worked. So I guess that's proved me wrong in that particular case. And then lastly, the last one here was to do with the mobile site. So if you're watching the video, you can see here that there's actually nothing mobile about the user interface. It just simply shows the desktop user interface, which is viewed on a mobile device. And it says here it's nice that it doesn't rely on Flash, which is still not supported on iOS, but it requires a tremendous amount to navigate the site on the smartphone. So there's like 9 products here on the mobile site, and it's all squashed up and small. And it's just basically exactly the same as it would look on a desktop, but it's squashed down to look on a mobile. So what we're basically saying here is that it's not a mobile optimized website. So the hypothesis here was that sending mobile traffic to a mobile themed user interface will increase the mobile conversion rate and revenue per visitor. So they fixed it up so that it was mobile friendly, and the results there says that they now know they can be generating a lot more revenue from their mobile visitors, as this quick, non-customized, mobile-themed user interface saw a 28.1% increase in revenue per visitor, which would make sense, of course. I mean, if you don't optimize, especially if it's an e-commerce site, if you don't optimize your website for mobile, then it's going to look absolutely terrible, especially for an e-commerce site on mobile. So that should have been done long ago. Okay, so overall, the improvements VeggieTales has experienced thus far have resulted in 38% statewide increase in revenue per visitor, and they're just the beginning. Once the changes to the homepage variation are applied to the rest of the site, they expect the numbers to grow even higher. And they focused on the lowest of the low-hanging fruit, or should they say vegetable, in order to produce the quickest gains. So that's exactly right. So in summary, the most common killer mistake that I see marketers guilty of is putting external links or menu bars on their order forms, which I did already mention previously. And just to reiterate, this is a huge no-no. Don't put navigation bars or menu bars on, or any sorts of links on your order pages. You've worked so hard to get people to your money page, so it's crucial you keep them on there and you get them to follow through and actually purchase. And if you're adding external links, especially in prominent places, such as up the very top of the page, then you're just inviting them to click away and to forget about paying. And basically, once they've clicked on those links, the chances of them coming back and purchasing on your order page are next to nothing. So if you've got a website with menu bars on them, make sure on your order page you remove them, because, or at least test it, because, but I can't see how it could possibly increase conversions having those links on there. But yeah, you're just throwing money down the toilet by having links, external links on order pages. So anyway, that's pretty much it for today. Hope you got some value out of that, and I'll catch up with you on the next episode of Funnel Fella Radio. See you soon. Bye.